Calculate the pH of 50 milliliter of 0.200 mol solution of ECl after the following amount of 0.250 mol of NaOH have been added. I have 46 milliliter. I'm going to try to find the pH. First of all, I'm going to convert my 2 volumes, which is milliliter to liter. For 50 milliliter, I end up with 0.050 liter, and for 46 milliliter, I end up with 0.046 or 60 liter. Now I'm going to try to convert them to mole by using the 0.050 liter times 200 mol of HCl to find the amount of mol of HCl. I'm going to end up with 0.0100 mol of HCl. Now I'm going to try to find the amount of mol of NaOH of 0.046 or 60 liter. I'm going to multiply by multiply by the second amount of mol, which is 0.250 mol of NaOH, because I'm looking for the amount of mol of NaOH. I'm going to end up with 0.0115 mol of NaOH. Now I'm going to try to find the leftover. I realized that my amount of NaOH is higher than my amount of mol of HCl. I'm going to try to find the leftover, and I'm going to end up with 0.0015 NaOH. Now I'm going to use I'm going to try to find the total volume by adding my 2 volumes, and I'm going to end up with 0.098. Now I know that my pOH equal minus log of my concentration NaOH. My NaOH concentrate was leftover was 0.015. I'm going to divide by the total amount by the total volume, which is 0.098, which is it's going to be equal to 0.015. Now I'm going to try to find my pOH, which is minus log of concentrate of NaOH, and I'm going to end up with 1.62, which is going to be my pH. My pH will be 1.62. If I use my calculator here to find that, I'm going to have minus log of 0.015. I end up with 1.82. The second assignment is I think the same, just with another amount of volume. So the second volume here is 32. I'm going to try to find the pH. For that, I'm going to do almost the same thing, like convert my volume, which is milliliter, to liter, and then I'm going to try to find the amount of mol of HCl and the amount of mol of NaOH. I'm going to end up for the HCl amount of mol of HCl. I'm going to end up with 0. To do that, I'm going to do my first volume times the amount of mol of HCl divided by 1 liter. I'm going to end up with 0.0100 mol of HCl. And for the amount of mol of NaOH, I'm going to use my second volume, which is 0.0320 liter divided by the amount of NaOH multiplied by the amount of NaOH, which is 0.250 0.250 divided by liter, I'm going to end up with 0.008 mole of NaOH. Here, my amount of mole of HCl is higher. That means we have an excess here. So I'm going to find the leftover. My leftover will be these two amount minus the amount of mole of HCl minus the amount of mole of NaOH. And I'm going to end up with 0.02 mole of NaOH. Now I'm going to try to find the total volume by adding my two volume, and I'm going to end up with 0.082 liter. To find the concentrate of NaOH, I have here my leftover. I'm going to divide by the total volume, and I end up with 0.024. My pOH is minus log of concentrate of NaOH. I'm going to use my calculator for that. Minus log of 0.025. I'm going to end up with 1.619, and I'm going to round it by 1.62, which is going to be equal to my pH.